Alright guys, so today we're going to check out a brand new pair of truly wireless earbuds that I know a lot of people are excited about. And that pair is the new Jabra Elite 75T. Now let's start with the fact that these are priced at $180. So that's kind of pricing it in the higher tier, especially when I think there is a lot of great competition in that under $100 market. But let's check out some of the features and what you get inside the box. Now these do have Bluetooth 5.0 and they have SBC and AAC playback. So you're gonna get some of the best Bluetooth quality that you can possibly get. Now these are IP55 water and dust resistant, so if you're somebody that works out and you like to be out in your elements, you're going to be fine, just as long as you don't drop these into water. Now one thing I really like with these is the fact that you can pair them to 2 devices at a time. So if you're on your computer or your tablet and then somebody calls in, it will just automatically switch over and you can answer your call. And then it just makes it easier to connect to devices instead of disconnect and going through that whole process. Now another thing I do want to point out is it is very important that you download the app, especially for hear through mode and then to be able to EQ these to get the sound that you want. Now inside the box it comes with the usual small, medium, and large ear gels, and then it comes with a USB-C charging cable. But again, at that price, I think USB-C should be automatic. Now speaking of the charging cable, the battery life on these, you're getting around 7.5 hours of individual use, where you're gonna get around 28 hours total using the case. So I think battery-wise, this is definitely where it needs to be. Obviously 7.5 hours of use is going to get most people through the day. If you do just happen to pick them up and they're dead, these do have the fast charge feature where a 15-minute charge will get you around an hour's worth of use. Now one thing I really like that they improved upon is the design. The case is much smaller. It just feels better built. As you can see, you have your USB-C input on the back, and then you have your single indicator light next to that. But I am kind of confused why they did not make these Qi wireless charging capable. Now, as far as the earbuds, this is another thing that they worked on the design and made these much smaller than the 65Ts. These do use button controls, but it is very easy to push the buttons on here. And plus, the buttons control everything, which is a huge plus. So play, pause, skipping your tracks forward, going backwards, even volume control, everything is here. And the other plus to this works with all of the smart assistants, even Amazon's. So I really like the functionality that these have built in. And then another thing that I wish was more common in other earbuds that these have is it also has the sensors that if you pull these out of your ear, your music will automatically pause, as to where when you put them back in your ear, your music will resume exactly where it's at. I find that very useful, especially if somebody comes up to talk to you real quick. It's easy just to pull one out, and you don't have to pull out your phone or start to pause and start fidgeting with your earbuds. Just makes it pretty convenient. But also the fact that if you do pause these, it goes into their hear-through mode, and that channels all of your outside sounds into the earbuds themselves, so technically you really don't have to take these out of your ear. Now, one big downfall to these, especially for you guys that like to use your earbuds individually, you'll be sad to know that you can only use the right by itself. But as far as calls go, that has 4 mics on these total, and I think these do an incredible job of picking up my voice. But you guys can be a judge by listening to a test here. Alright guys, so here is the microphone on the Jabra Elite 75T. It does have the option to be able to hear the side tone, which is basically you being able to hear yourself. But also within the app, you can EQ the bass tones and the treble within your voice. But this is how it sounds right out of the box. And so this is what the mic sounds like with a crowd noise being played in the background. So you can kind of get an idea of what it would sound like if you took a call in public. So now we come all the way to the sound. The sound, to me, especially when you're spending this kind of money, is the most important thing. This is the one thing that I was probably not that impressed with. Now, I'm not saying they sound bad. I think they definitely sound good, but I think they sound very artificial. And my problem with this, again, I think kind of leans towards the price tag. I think if you're gonna charge this amount of money, you need to offer something pretty spectacular. And I think just getting by with just good audio is not enough. But when it comes to the bass, I think the bass is so boomy in these that this is where I think the app is necessary. I had to go into the app to actually turn on the Treble Boost, where it just knocks the bass down, and the bass still had a ton of presence. So if you're somebody that's a bass head and you don't mind having it kind of roll over your mids and your highs at times, these might be perfectly fine. but as much as I love bass, I don't like to lose my other frequencies. I still love to hear clarity, and mids are extremely important to hear the detail in vocals, as to where I think, especially with certain genres, these kind of fall flat on because the bass is just taking over pretty much all the time. But again, if you want to really get the most detail you can out of these, make sure to turn on the treble boost. So the rest of the sound I'm going to put like this. I think if you just leave it at the EQ setting that it has right out of the box, expect just boomy bass and kind of muddier mids and highs. Like, I think the bass takes over too much. Turning that treble boost on brings your treble out a lot more. It brings your mids a little more forward where you can hear your detail and vocals a little bit better. But overall, this is a very, very warm sounding earbud. And I also think that the soundstage and the sound imaging is definitely being affected by the bass here as well. I think for the most part while listening, it always gave me the impression that I was in a smaller room. It didn't feel very large and very open. As far as being able to accurately tell where different sounds are coming from, I think it does a fairly decent job here. But again, the whole theme of this is I feel like the bass gets in the way to what the potential of these could be. Now again, obviously moving it over to treble boost, it opened it up to feel a little bit more like you're in a medium-sized room, and then you can hear a little bit more of your detail and kind of tell where things are coming from. So obviously, like I said, the app is very, very important to get the most out of these. The $180 price tag is what's holding these back. I think these should be somewhere between $100 to $120. And even at that, I still think that there's so much competition out there that these not having a wireless charger, definitely being as bass heavy as they are and losing some of the detail, still hold these back from being one that I would recommend. I know a lot of you guys enjoyed the 65T. I think the sound is kind of similar, but I think when the 65T came out, there wasn't as much competition as there is now. The market is definitely flooded with a ton of truly wireless earbuds, a ton of different options, and that's what makes it really hard for me to recommend the Jabra Elite 75T. But guys, that's my review of the brand new Jabra Elite 75T. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.